Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my Ranking the Beatles videos, which I am shocked I have not done in the 3 years I have been part of this little Beatles and music community we call on YouTube. So anyway, let's get right into it. I will say there will be some changes on my US list from my UK list based on the fact that there are many different albums with different song configurations, different covers, and for many of these US albums, they're going to rank high for me because of the emotional impact they had on my life. They were either gifts given to me by my family, by my parents, or perhaps I listened to them at a time in my life where I needed that boost or that emotional lift, or I just needed to feel happy again. And some of these albums had that kind of impact on my life. And so I had to take that into account. How did I emotionally feel about these albums? And that's basically how I came to my ranking of them, and I hope you'll understand that as you watch this. Okay, so let's get right into it. Number 18 on my Ranking the Beatles US albums is the early Beatles. Again, there's no bad Beatles album here, folks. I love them all. However, you know, after I got older and heard the Please Please Me album and all the material you got on that compared to this one feels like you're getting shortchanged a little bit, even though I do love the cover. I had to rank this at number 18. At number 17, again, like I said in my UK video, Yellow Submarine is a great album, but it had to go somewhere. And there are times I do love the George Martin soundtrack songs, especially Pepperland, and I do love all the Beatles material on here, but unfortunately it had to go somewhere, number 17. Okay, number 16 is the Hard Day's Night soundtrack. Again, great cover, love the Beatles songs on here, love the mixes. They're slightly different from some other releases of mixes of these songs, but you know, the soundtrack music, at times I do get in the mood for it, but I had to rank it down a little bit because it is a soundtrack album, it's not all Beatles. Number 16. Same reason that Help is number 15. Great Beatles material. I do enjoy the instrumental material at times from the film, but again, after you've heard the British Help album, and again, same with Hard Day's Night, after you've heard the British Hard Day's Night album, it's hard to rank this any higher, so number 15. Let It Be is number 14. Love this album. There are times I get in the mood for it and I have to hear it, but I do prefer Let It Be Naked a little bit more than this. I am looking forward to the remix later this year. There are times I get in the mood, I must hear this, but it still sits around number 14. Number 13, for obvious reasons, is Revolver. I mean, I love the material on here, folks. I really do. But after hearing the British Revolver when I got older and those 3 extra John Lennon songs, the way it should be, it's hard that this one can rank any higher than where it is right now. So on you saw where it was on my UK list. If you watch that, please go watch it. But it had to drop on the US list. Okay. Number 12 is the White Album. Love this album, but it had to fall somewhere, and there's so many other albums on the US list of albums that I loved so much growing up that this one fell to number 12. Number 11 is Something New. Great cover. I've always loved the cover since I was a little kid. I've always loved the song content on here. I think the only reason I dropped it a little bit is because the length of it. It's a very short album, very quick, but I do love the material on here, and it had an emotional impact on my life, that's for sure. I got this as a very young boy. And you'll find with a lot of these albums coming up, I did dedicated videos to them, so please go back in one of I do playlists where you can look at Beatles, tributes to Beatle albums and whatnot, and you can see all my videos about a lot of these albums, and this is one I did a dedicated video to. But on this list, number 11. Number 10 is Meet the Beatles. Fabulous. I love this better than With the Beatles. I grew up with this album. It was the first album my parents ever gave me when I was a little boy. Emotional impact, big time. Love it. This goes back to when I was 3 years old, folks, and I will always love this album. So, number 10. Number 9 is Magical Mystery Tour. I know it later became part of their official catalog, even the UK albums, But man, when this was put together for the US market, brilliance, absolute brilliance. Whoever thought up this idea, because the songs from the film and all those great singles at the time, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, All You Need Is Love, it combined for a wonderful Beatles album. Number 8, Sgt. Pepper. Sgt. Pepper has gone higher on my list. You saw where it was on my UK list, but on this list it sits pretty high at number 8 because after that 2017 remix, I garnered a whole new appreciation and respect for this album. It grew on me more than it ever had. I always loved it, but after the remix in 2017, it went up a few notches in my book. So it sits at number 8. Number 7, Hey Jude. Beatles again, whatever they used to call it. Love this album. When I was a little kid, my mom took me to the store and let me buy this album. I loved the song configuration on here. I thought it was a brand new Beatles album back then. Paperback Writer, Rain, Can't Buy Me Love, Revolution, Don't Let Me Down. They're all on here. Old Brown Shoe, love them all. And that's why it sits so high. Emotional, sentimental, whatever you want to call it. Number 7. Number 6. Well, here's those 3 missing Revolver songs from the British Revolver album that we didn't get on the US version. And when they put them on here, along with songs like Drive My Car, Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out, this album had a big impact on my life. I love it. I always have, always will. Number 6. Number 5 on my US albums list is Beatles 65. My dad left it on my nightstand. I did a dedicated video to this one and the last one as well. Please go check it out. He left it on my nightstand. I tell the story in the video, and ever since then I've been in love with this album. The configuration, the sequencing, the cover, emotional impact, it's there. It's number 5. Number 4, again for the same reasons as Beatles 65, is Beatles 6. Given to me by my father. Love the songs on here. Love the cover. Wanted my hair to be like John Lennon's. When I was a little kid, I went to the barber and said, hey, can you cut my hair like that, please? Like John's on this album cover. But you can go back and check out the video. I did a dedicated video to it. Emotional impact. One of my favorite Beatles albums of all time. Number 4, Beatles 6. Number 3 is got to be one of the greatest rock and roll albums of all time. The Beatles' second album. Boy, Capitol hit a home run with this one. The configuration, the Motown, the early rock and roll, the Beatles rock and roll, combined for a stellar rock and roll festival feast, cornucopia of pure rock bliss. I just love this album. It will always be high on my list if you put all the Beatles albums together, UK, overseas, US, whatever. This will always be right up there. Number 3, Beatles' second album. And number 2, I'm sorry, this one really jumped a little bit on my US list because I love the configuration of this. They took off the rockier songs like, Nowhere Man and Drive My Car, and they put on It's Only Love and I've Just Seen a Face, and they made this a folk rock, rootsy, down-to-earth Beatles album that it's almost like a concept album, so acoustic based and just so cool, and I just love it. I love it. I want to kiss it. I love this. So the US version blows the British version out of the water. I'm sorry, I'm a US fan. That's the way I feel. Number 2. And number 1 is the masterpiece, Abbey Road. Abbey Road, masterpiece, okay? It wasn't number 1 on my last list. You can go check it out, and for reasons I tell you in that video, but because of the other 2 albums that beat it out, made number 3. I'll give you a hint. But it's number 1 on the US list. It's fabulous. I love it. Give it a kiss. Great, fabulous stuff. That's it, folks. I could have interchanged a couple of these 3 right here. Because you'll notice on my UK list that there's some earlier material that's higher than Abbey Road, but that's because the way the UK albums were configured, you'll see why those got a little higher. But, I could put Revolver number 1. I could put Beatles' second album number 1 on certain days. But for today, right now, I'll say my favorite album on the US list, Abbey Road. Love you all. Man, I'm tired. I'm going to go get some rest. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe if you get the chance or you like my videos. Take care. Bless you all. Bye-bye.